And we are live. It's the Revved Up 906 podcast, a Detroit Pistons podcast to be exact. And I'm Hudson.
And I'm Ryan.
And before we get into tonight's matchup of Pistons versus the Atlanta Hawks, I want to give you all a quick reminder to like and subscribe every week. Until the season is finished, we are bringing you Detroit Pistons content, revved up recaps to be exact. And be on the lookout every Saturday at 1 o'clock, just like every week, our typical post where this week's topic, we will be talking about the front court of the future, who are going to be our 4 and 5 when we are in the promised land in the NBA finals, when the Pistons reach their best. And so we kind of hone in on that topic and really get into the knit and grit details and really talk about each possible duo. Without further ado, let's get into today's recap of Pistons versus the Atlanta Hawks. Tonight's final score was 129-107. There was two guys in particular for the Detroit Pistons tonight that had pretty stellar games. But I first want to get into Marvin Bagley, who typically is averaging 12 points, 6.6 rebounds, and 54% from the field. But tonight, at the half, he had 17 points on 6 of 8 shooting and finished with 1 point away from his career high with 31 points, 1 assist, 8 rebounds rather, 4 of 5 from the 3-point line on 12 of 19 shooting in 41 minutes. He put up some big numbers tonight. What were some of your thoughts from Marvin Bagley's game tonight?
Marvin was in his bag, Lee, tonight. He had a great game, and who Atlanta just couldn't stop him. No matter what it was, whoever was guarding him, they just couldn't stop him tonight. It was just one of those nights for him. He has this on occasion where it's like he goes out there and puts on a show, and it's like, whoa, where was this coming from? But then again, he doesn't do this every night. There's a reason why I just said what I said, because some nights he's mediocre and some nights he does this, and it's like, okay, he can play. But then other nights he goes back to doing his like a 10 points, 8 rebounds kind of night. And it's like, okay, cool. But tonight he was doing his thing. And Atlanta just couldn't stop it between John Collins and oh my goodness, I'm blanking on his name. This is not good.
Clint Capella.
Yes, there we go. It's been a
Gotcha.
long day. Clint
Yeah.
Capella, between the two of them, even Onyeka Okongwu or others, they just couldn't slow him down. And it's weird to say that because at times it's very easy to slow Marvin Bagley down. But tonight wasn't the case. He was very efficient. He took smart shots. He didn't turn the ball over once. He had 1 foul, that was it. 3 steals along with an assist. Like, he was doing his thing, and he was a key factor in us even being in this game tonight because you had Trae Young on the other end exploding.
Yeah. Trae Young, just for everyone to note, 30 points tonight with 12 assists on 3 of 9 from the 3-point line. So he proved tonight he's not just a shooter. And then 7 of 19 from the field on 30 minutes. But we definitely have to mention Killian Hayes. He had 15 points in the first quarter. He really found his rhythm early and then finished with 21 points, 6 assists on 7 of 17 shooting in 33 minutes. This was the kind of play tonight where we love to see Killian at. We love to see him around that 20 point mark. And then, 5 and above assists. That's where we like him at. He showed that he can facilitate, but also find his groove in the shooting category. And in that first quarter, really just couldn't do much wrong.
Yeah, he was doing that against one of the best. Well, I personally don't think he's one of the best, but others do. So Trae Young, he did that against Trae Young tonight, which
Yeah.
is pretty darn good. I'm not gonna say my take on Trae Young right now because I will definitely get heat from it. But Killian was doing his thing, and we've seen this the last couple nights where it's like he's slowly getting into the same groove that he had been on, and like earlier on this year, and it's nice to see that again. You can tell it really is a confidence thing if you look at it. Because like when you look back earlier before the Paris game, he was doing his thing. His confidence level was way up here, and then now it's back to that point because
Right.
there was that stretch of time in between there where it's like, yeah, he's doing okay. He's not doing anything special, but he's doing okay. But then the last couple games, like 6 games or so, it's really like he's stepping up, he's facilitating, he's doing his thing, he's just being himself. And I just, when Killian is himself, he is lethal, honestly. Like, yes, you can stop him from time to time during that time period or time frame, I should say. But
Right.
when Killian is like at his peak, like the highest confidence level out there, he is gonna do his thing, and there's not really much you can do to stop him because he's a great facilitator. So even if you do contain him from shooting the ball, he's just gonna look for the pass right away and get his teammate the wide open shot.
Yeah, Killian is definitely a force to be reckoned with when his confidence is high. I completely agree. James Wiseman has 8 double doubles in his career, and in the last 5 games, he's accounted for 4 of those 8. So James Wiseman playing very well in his first couple games with the Detroit Pistons, but tonight really could not find a rhythm, really struggled with fouls. He finished with 6. He ended up fouling out, finished with 6 points, 2 of 6 shooting from the field, 0 of 2 from the 3-point line, 5 rebounds in 19 minutes. Even 19 as a starter, you want to have more than 19 minutes. You want to be hovering around 27 or more. So James Wiseman, I'm not really too discouraged, but I think really if you're talking about what's deciding tonight's game, I think if James Wiseman shows up and accounts for what he typically does when 12 or more points and 10 or more rebounds. I think if he gave us a little bit of that tonight, this game might have looked a little bit different.
Yeah, it goes back to my earlier comment with Bagley. You just look at his who he was competing up against tonight. When you have Clint Capella and John Collins and even Onyeka Okongwu, who are some of the biggest bigs in the league, it's kind of hard to contend against them. Because
Right.
James Wiseman, yes, I love him. He's been balling out, but he still has an experience compared to a Clint Capella or a John Collins. They're vets now, and so they know how to play the game. John Collins can jump out of the gym. He's one of those guys. And then you have Clint Capella, who's just a shot blocker and a great defender. So it's easy for a shot blocker who's known for that to go up against a guy like James Wiseman, who doesn't have as much experience, but can get good shots when he has to. So it's very easy for a John Collins and a Clint Capella and even Onyeka Okongwu. And then you look at there are other players there, like all of those guys are very good at their craft and what they do. And majority of those players on that team know how to draw fouls. And so it's very easy for a guy like James Wiseman to foul out in a game like tonight versus an Atlanta Hawks team that has the experience, that has been playing together a while. So Wiseman, I'm not mad about his what his game was tonight. Is it disappointing that he fouled out? Yeah, but you could say that about any player on our team. So,
Mm,
but he didn't do bad in his 19 minutes. It wasn't like, oh my goodness, he just had the worst game ever. It's more of
right.
like, he fouled out. It is what it is, kind of thing. Just in the mindset of where our team is and how our season's going. It's easy to be like, yeah, okay, cool. But I'm
Right.
not worried about his game at all.
No, it's typical for him to struggle in a game like tonight. I think he actually would have done better tonight if he had Duran next to
Mhm.
him. Bagley isn't the most complimentary player for Wiseman. Two things I want to point out about two of the three biggest reasons why the final score looked the way it did tonight. The Pistons got out rebounded drastically tonight. Pistons finished with only 35 rebounds to the Atlanta Hawks 61. Okay, so yes, you can kind of blame Wiseman because he didn't really pick up his end of the bargain as far as rebounding. but struggled with fouls. So it's like, that's going to happen. He's not going to be able to help out too much, but you just can't get out rebounded that much and think you're going to win. The other thing tonight, every once in a while, there's a game, and it happens frequently with the Pistons, where there's so many fouls. It is sometimes excruciating to watch because it's almost every time down the floor, the Pistons are just hacking the Atlanta Hawks. And we saw that even tonight with a savvy vet like Corey Joseph. He couldn't even control it tonight. So it's like when you add up those two things, the score is going to look the way it looked.
Yeah, and the rebounding and all of that, I wouldn't necessarily be like Wiseman didn't pick up his slack. It's more of like, think of who played tonight for us. We were pretty much guard heavy. Like Eugene Umarui, yeah, he's a small forward, but even then, he's technically a guard based off his size. Buddy Boeheim, let's be realistic here, he's a guard. Corey Joseph obviously is a guard. RJ Hampton's a guard. Jared Rhoden's a guard. Rodney McGruder, Killian Hayes, Jaden Ivey, all guards. So it's like when you only have two guys with actual size in Marvin Bagley and James Wiseman, and Bagley in his own sense isn't really a big to go get boards. He's more of a scorer.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Wiseman fouling out. You can understand how we got out rebounded tonight, but it's still disappointing. But then, and this is me going back to the Atlanta Hawks and their roster, but their bigs are just massive. So and they just know how to get certain things done. And that's something that they always excel in, no matter what it is. And so you can understand how we were out rebounded that bad. But it also has something to do with like Livers not playing tonight, or Jalen Duren not playing tonight, even Bojan not playing tonight. So it hurts when we don't have majority of our bigs playing.
Jaden Ivey tonight, the reason why I will always hang my hat on and put my chips to Jaden Ivey is because he has that superstar factor. And the reason I say this isn't necessarily because he blows you away in tonight's game when you're watching him. You're not like, oh, wow, like he's having a miraculous game. But he etched his way up the box score throughout 4 quarters and finished with 17 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 6 of 19 shooting, which is a little iffy. But the reason why I say he has that superstar factor is because he'll give you buckets and you don't even know he's giving you buckets. And that's what I like about Jaden Ivey. And that's what a lot of superstars do. Guys like Trae Young, Paul George, Donovan Mitchell. These are guys that hurt you slowly and you just don't realize how many points you're giving them. And then all of a sudden at the end of the game, they have double-digit points and you're like, oh, wow, they made a bigger impact than I suspected.
Yeah, and with Jaden Ivey, yeah, he's been averaging like 15 plus points a game this season for us, and that's without Cade. But I personally think when Cade is back, Ivey is going to line up the box score. Like he's going to have a good 20 plus points per game. And that's not because Jaden Ivey can't score right now, because he can score. But I think when you add a guy like Cade to the lineup, and you have Cade mainly facilitating, and you allow Ivey to be the great off-ball player he is, he's going to be cutting all over the place and just tearing up the defenses. So when he goes and slowly kills you quarter by quarter by getting 17 at the end, granted the last two were at the buzzer pretty much, and there was not a lot of excitement over that. But when you have Ivey, who knows how to get buckets, who is fast, has a high, like extremely high basketball IQ, and is that young, oh my goodness. Just imagine a guy like him when Cade gets back, because we talk about Milwaukee with Batman and Robin, meaning who's Batman in that situation between Giannis and Chris Middleton, because let's be realistic here, in their own sense, they're both Batman. And that's what I see with Cade and Ivey when Cade's back, is they're both Batman. There's no Robin. They're both Batman.
What's interesting, the way tonight's game wrapped up, now that we're talking about Jaden Ivey, there was kind of a disturbance that happened there at the buzzer. Jaden Ivey put up a bucket in the last couple seconds of the, I believe, shot clock, or was it overall buzzer? Yeah. So kind of talk about why that ruffled the feathers of the Atlanta Hawks there at the end with the Jaden Ivey bucket.
Well, the last couple years or so, there has been an unwritten rule that if a team is just turning the ball over to run out the clock, and pretty much like you're giving up, like the game's definitely over. There's no reason to even put up a shot. Don't put up a shot. And Greg mentioned this post game, talking about it, and basically, and this is a player's perspective. This is not like a NBA fan's perspective or like a George Blaha's perspective. This is a former NBA player's perspective. He said that who cares, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like literally, who cares? Because yeah, let's say the winning team has the shot clock violation. The other team can really go ahead and do whatever they want. They don't have to run the clock out. They can go put up a shot. Because at the end of the day, when he was playing, as he said back in my day, which he hated saying, he said, no matter what the score was and no matter how much time was left, guys are going out there and playing. And that's how it should be. And I completely agree with that because that's how it really should be. Who cares if it's a nobody scoring on you with 2 seconds left? Who cares? And who cares if it's Jaden Ivey scoring on you with 2 seconds left in the shot clock? Who cares? Because at the end of the day, your team still got the win. It's not going to hurt you at all. It's just going to be like instead of scoring 129 to 105, it's 129 to 107. It's a 2-point difference. It's not going to hurt you. You still won.
Right.
So at the end of the day, what I saw out of this is just the Atlanta Hawks getting all emotional because they're an emotional team and they're just cocky at times. But they're in the mindset of like, oh, it's an unwritten rule. You shouldn't even be doing that. And we saw that against with FAU and FDU in March Madness a couple nights ago, where FAU's player went down and pretty much did a 360 slam and missed it, and everybody was getting ticked off about that. But it's like, honestly, the game's already decided. Okay, what I will say about the FDU FAU situation is that's different than what happened tonight in the sense of Jaden Ivey was just going in for a layup. It was nothing like I'm disrespecting you. Now, the college basketball situation there, he went up for a 360 slam. Like, that's kind of like
showy.
Yeah, it's showy. It's being cocky. It's like, haha, we won, you suck. And that's different. What Jaden Ivey did tonight was he just was like, I want points. I don't want to turn the ball over. I'm getting a shot up. And he did that. It was not like, it wasn't like he was disrespecting the Atlanta Hawks. It was just, it's one of those things. And the game is changing, going in a direction right now where it's all emotional. And it kind of sucks because you look back at history and you look back at the bad boys, like there was no emotion. Well, okay, there was emotion, but it was completely different then than it is now. Now it's more like wimpy, kind of like boohoo. But back then it's like, who cares? And I'm gonna beat the crap out of you. And so there's just a slow progression into going into like crybaby basketball now. And I hate to say that, but it's true. And so like tonight is a key example of that. Jaden Ivey did nothing wrong.
And people, I mean, coaches have said, told players since a young age to play to the whistle, play to the buzzer. In the end, if I'm a player, I'm probably not putting up a big fuss about it. And also, Trae Young was the guy that confronted the Pistons. He was on the bench at the time. Just walk to the locker room, in my opinion. Just do your time. Like I don't get the big deal. The game went on long enough. Why throw a fit at the end? You guys are going to probably make the playoffs. Take it as it is. That will do. Sorry, I lost my train of thought for a second.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
That will wrap up today's Revved Up recap of Detroit Pistons versus the Atlanta Hawks. That final score was 107 to 129. Make sure to like and subscribe. We will see you guys in the next Revved Up recap. Peace.